Most golfers who can't get their wedge shots to stop on the green blame the equipment. New grooves, they assume, are the fix. The data says the equipment is a minor factor. The real cause is almost always technique and contact conditions. Start with grooves because that's where this belief comes from. In 2010, the USGA and the PGA Tour enforced a new groove rule, limiting how sharp the edges of a wedge's grooves could be, specifically to cut down the spin players were generating out of the rough. It's a real rule with a real history. At that year's Sony Open, John Daly and Dean Wilson legally played Ping I-2 wedges built in the late 1980s, using a decades-old legal loophole that let those specific clubs stay conforming even after the new rule took effect. That's a genuine case of groove technology mattering enough to regulate. According to the USGA's own research, though, 2 out of every 3 golf balls sold are Serling-covered balls that show little spin difference across groove designs to begin with. And when equipment writers have tested new wedges against badly worn ones on a launch monitor, the results have gone both directions. One test found the worn wedge spun the ball more. Groove condition is a real variable. It is not a reliable one, and for most golfers, it is not the one costing them spin. Ball cover material is a bigger and more consistent factor. Urethane-covered balls, the kind used on tour, generate roughly 8,000 to 10,000 RPM of wedge spin. Urethane-covered balls, sold under names like Serlin, generate roughly 5,500 to 7,500. That gap is real and measurable, and it's the one variable here a golfer can fix by switching a $5 ball rather than buying a new wedge. What actually determines whether either of those things matters is spin loft, the angle between where the club face is pointing at impact and the direction the club is moving. A steeper attack angle, combined with a clean strike at the center of the face, produces meaningfully more spin regardless of how new the grooves are. TrackMan's own guidance for increasing wedge spin points here first. Steepen the angle of attack, increase dynamic loft, strike the ball cleanly. Have you ever hit what felt like a perfect wedge shot and watched it release straight through the green anyway? Put what you think happened in the comments. There's a specific physical reason for it, and it usually isn't the one most golfers assume. That reason is contamination. Independent testing has found wedge spin drops by 15 to 30% when there's moisture on the ball or the face. A shot that would normally spin at 8,000 RPM can fall to 6,000 or lower. A single blade of grass trapped between the club face and the ball at impact does something similar, which is why a flyer lie out of the rough behaves nothing like the same club from a clean lie. Golf Digest instructor Andrew Rice describes it this way. As grass fills the grooves and gets trapped between ball and face, there's very little grip left, so the ball comes off closer to the dynamic loft and barely spins at all. This happens to tour pros too. It isn't a skill gap, it's physics. The clearest evidence that this comes down to technique, not tools, is TrackMan's own spin index data on Viktor Hovland. In 2019, his wedge shots were producing only 68% of the spin his swing should have generated, over 2,000 RPM short. After changing his technique in 2023, that number rose to 105%. Same grooves rule, same era of golf ball technology. The difference was entirely in how he delivered the club to the ball. If any part of this changed how you think about your own wedge game, that's exactly the kind of breakdown this channel is built around. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one.